For decades, Soviet sports scientists studied a training tool that Western fitness experts largely ignored. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't a classified protocol reserved for elite special forces. It was a cast iron ball with a handle that Russian peasants had been swinging in village markets for 2 centuries. And what those scientists kept finding was so inconvenient for the modern fitness industry that it never made it into the mainstream conversation. Because if it did, it would expose the entire commercial gym model for what it actually is, a very expensive way to build a body that doesn't work. When was the last time the strength you built in the gym actually showed up in your real life? Not on a machine, not on a measured rep. In real life, carrying something awkward, moving fast under pressure, using your body the way it was designed to be used. For most people, the honest answer is rarely, or never. The reason comes down to one principle that the fitness industry has spent decades burying. You train the movement, not the muscle. Every isolation machine in a commercial gym does the opposite. It removes stabilization, fixes you in a single plane, and trains your muscles to work in separation from each other. It produces a pump, it produces mirror gains, but it does not produce a body that performs. The tool that brings that principle back is 500 years old and fits in one hand, and these are the 5 exercises that prove everything. Exercise 1, the Turkish get-up. There is no machine version of this exercise. That is not an accident. That is the entire point. When US Special Forces units began incorporating kettlebell training into their fitness assessments in the early 2000s, the Turkish get-up became one of their primary screening tools, not the bench press, not the squat. This, because a soldier who cannot perform a clean Turkish get-up under load is a soldier whose body does not work as a coordinated system, and no amount of isolated gym strength will fix that. What sounds simple is actually a full audit of your body. Every joint, every stabilizer, every plane of motion is exposed across a single continuous movement. The shoulder is locked out overhead under load throughout, building stability in the most injury-prone joint in the body. The hips move through full range. The core braces against a constantly shifting load. Eyes never leave the bell. Here's the setup. Lie on your back. Press the bell to full arm extension above your shoulder. Bend the same side knee. Plant that foot. Use your free arm to prop up onto your elbow, then your hand. Drive your hips up, sweep your free leg back into a lunge position, and stand. Reverse every step to return. Go slow. There is no version of this movement that rewards speed. The Turkish get-up is the exercise that tells you the truth about your body. And if you can only add one movement to your training, make it this one. Exercise 2. The goblet squat. Picture a Roman soldier in full armor carrying grain sacks into a garrison supply depot, weight held at his chest, dropping low between his hips, torso upright, spine stacked. Now picture a man in a modern gym, barbell loaded across his back, forward lean, lumbar spine compressed, knees caving inward. One of those positions has been used by humans for thousands of years. The other was invented in the 1960s and sold to us as the gold standard of lower body training. The goblet squat returns you to the first position. Holding the kettlebell at chest height counterbalances your center of mass and forces your torso upright, meaning your core fires harder, your hips drop deeper naturally, and your lower back is under a fraction of the stress it takes during a loaded barbell squat. Hold the bell by the horns at chest height, elbows tucked beneath your hands, feet shoulder width or slightly wider, toes angled naturally. Sit down between your hips, not back down, chest tall, knees driving outward. Go as deep as your mobility allows. Drive through your full foot to stand. Your core is bracing, your upper back is working. Your hips, quads, and glutes are loaded simultaneously. This is not a leg exercise that happens to involve a kettlebell. This is a full body movement that builds exceptional legs as a byproduct, the same way it has for every culture that carried heavy loads before the squat rack was invented. And what comes next is the exercise that most gyms have never even attempted to replicate, because the movement itself doesn't fit inside 4 walls and a cable column. Exercise 3, the cross-body row. Here is something conventional training has almost certainly never asked your back to do. To pull something diagonally. Think about every back exercise in a commercial gym. Bent over row, straight back, lat pull down, straight down, cable row, straight forward. Every machine, every cable, every barbell, pulling in a straight line. And that seems logical until you remember that the human body almost never moves in straight lines. When a punch is thrown, force crosses the body. When something heavy is dragged, the torso rotates. When an axe, a paddle, or a bat is swung, the power moves diagonally. This is transverse plane movement, and it is how human biomechanics actually function. Yet virtually nothing in conventional training develops it. The cross-body row fills that gap directly, and the Maori warriors of New Zealand understood this intuitively. Their war paddle techniques, which drove waka hura across open ocean, were built entirely on diagonal pulling power through the trunk. Straight-line rowing doesn't move a war canoe, rotational force does. Hinge at the hips, soft bend in the knees, flat back. The bell starts on the floor at one ankle. Row it up and across your body to the opposite hip, left ankle to right hip, right ankle to left hip. That diagonal line is the entire point. The upper back, rear deltoids and rhomboids are all under load. But because the pull crosses your center line, the obliques and deep core are firing to resist the rotation simultaneously. It is a pulling exercise and an anti-rotation exercise in one movement, training the pattern your back was built for, but has never properly been asked to perform. If you're finding value in this, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I've got more unconventional training methods coming that'll change how you think about building strength. Exercise 4, the kettlebell snatch. In the Soviet military fitness standard, soldiers were not tested on the bench press. They were not tested on the squat. They were handed a 24-kilogram kettlebell and told to snatch it for maximum repetitions in 10 minutes. If you've never tried this, you probably think that sounds manageable, but trust me, this is one of the most challenging drills you can put your body through. The snatch was chosen because Soviet sports scientists understood something that modern fitness culture still hasn't absorbed. No isolated strength test tells you anything meaningful about real physical capacity, but 10 minutes of snatches tells you everything. Power, endurance, coordination, grip strength, and mental toughness under accumulating fatigue, all at once. What Soviet sports scientists kept returning to was this: the most physically prepared humans throughout history were never tested on machines. They were tested on movements. The snatch takes the hip hinge and elevates it, literally. The bell starts between the legs. One explosive snap of the hips drives it into an upward arc. At the top, instead of letting it float back, punch your hand through and lock out overhead in one fluid motion. The bell lands softly on the forearm, arm fully extended, standing tall. The power is entirely in the hips. If the shoulder is burning before the posterior chain is, the bell is being muscled up. And that's wrong. The arm redirects, the hips drive. Learn that distinction, and the snatch becomes the most efficient expression of full body power you will ever train. Exercise 5, the kettlebell swing. Everything covered so far, the total body coordination of the get up, the front loaded squat, the diagonal row, the explosive snatch, all of it traces back to one movement, one pattern, one principle, the hip hinge. And the swing is that principle in its purest form. This is why it's the last exercise on this list rather than the first, because by now the argument is clear. The goal isn't muscle, it isn't mirror gains, it's explosive, functional, transferable power. And the swing is where that entire philosophy lives, in a single movement that takes 30 seconds to learn and a lifetime to master. Here's the setup. Feet shoulder width apart, back flat, spine neutral. Grip the bell with both hands and hike it back between the legs. Aggressive, like a football snap. Then snap the hips forward, hard. The arms do not pull, they are passengers. The engine is the hips driving violently forward through full extension. What Soviet sports scientists consistently found was that 20 minutes of heavy kettlebell swings produced strength and conditioning improvements that outperformed an hour of conventional training. Posterior chain power, cardiovascular capacity, functional output, all from one movement that requires nothing but a cast iron ball and the willingness to work. That is the swing, and that is the entire argument for everything in this video. The modern gym didn't make humans stronger, it made them more comfortable. And what Soviet sports scientists spent decades confirming is what history already proved. Train the movement and the body follows. Train the muscle in isolation and you'll have a body that performs in a mirror and fails everywhere else. If you want a structured program built on exactly these principles, 12 weeks, 0 machines, progressive overload designed around the way your body actually moves, that's what No Gym Warrior was built for. The full training protocols, the week-by-week progression, and the complete movement library are in the link in the description. 12 weeks, 1 tool, a body that works. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can easily watch my upcoming videos. See you in the next one.